Hey everybody, my name is Michael Ortman, and I want to just say thank you to everybody that follows us and continuously follows us. But I wanted to, anybody that's new that's watching our videos, let you know where we kind of started or how I started into farming. So I'm a second generation farmer now. My father started farming when he was 48. He bought a piece of land up in New York State. There was no house, no barn. And he decided to, once he was finished his newspaper business, to start milking 9 cows. And from there, he built up the house and some barns and raised myself and my 2 sisters. And after high school, I went into the Marine Corps for a few years. And then I also did some time, volunteered a lot as an EMT or with some rescue squads locally, and then became an EMT basic, critical care, and then a paramedic. Also did a little bit of work as a volunteer firefighter too. But ultimately, I then took the farm back over and continued it because when I was, no matter where that I ended up being, working inside of an ambulance or with the Marine Corps being gone or traveling, I always want to be back at the farm because it's just, despite it, farming is not a slow lifestyle. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of things to do. And with agriculture, animal agriculture especially, requires us to know so much knowledge about everything and then to be constantly looking years ahead and trying to figure out what to do. So I grew up in a lifestyle of dairy farming, and once you've been kind of instilled in it, working long days every day, and the obstacles that you got to overcome, it's kind of just like consumes us because there's very few people that become dairy farmers or deal with animal agriculture. So after I got out of the service, I continued to work as a paramedic, and I decided to take the farm over. And from there, though, unfortunately, agriculture today is not what it was 30 years ago. There's very few young guys, very few men and women that get into agriculture because predominantly agriculture, the way you make a living is commodity-based pricing. And unfortunately, we're competing on the world market. So like for milk or beef or crops, our input costs are continuously going up, but the problem with now becoming so efficient with farming, it drives the cost of production up, but that requires you to do so many more acres, to have more cattle, or make more milk to spread your costs that is so much higher over more units of animals. So when I got into farming, I decided to not continue that route and completely go against the grain and decided to go straight to consumers. So in order to do that, I was blessed with one of the guys I was in the Marine Corps with, Sean Beatty. He started a marketing business at the same time and helped me build our platform. So our platform started off as a rinky-dink website, and we started with a Google Business Profile and some other stuff. And then over time, as Sean got better and he learned, we evolved into online e-commerce and shipping, and then we built to the point where we built our platform today. But over those years, while Sean was building our platform, I set out to do a lot of door knocking to just talk directly with the customers and figure out how we're going to build this thing. Because the end goal that I have is to continue dairy farming, but not to send milk as a commodity to where it gets picked up on a tractor trailer, and then where we're part of a co-op and it goes wherever it goes, and we get paid whatever the global markets dictates that the milk is worth. Because itchy eye. Because I got tired. Farming, you're always behind most of the days because things break down. As you know, today, or as we're sitting here today, fuel prices are going to be tremendously higher, especially going into our cropping season. We put up a lot of corn and soybeans and some winter and some small grains, so that just impacts the margins as well. So But dairy farming I've always wanted to continue because I enjoyed growing up on it, and I have 3 young kids now, and I wanted to raise them up on a dairy farm. But I don't see where a lot of these dairy farms now, unfortunately, a 1,000 cow farm is now still too small, and 3,000 cows is still too small. The new national average for dairy farms to be quote unquote profitable is 10,000 cows milking, so that way they spread the cost of production of that milk over 10,000 units. Well, I decided to go the other route, where I rather have thousands of customers and we milk 15, 20 cows, and where we pasteurize that milk on the farm, and then we bring back the old milk route. This way now, it's my market is you guys. It's taken a lot of years to get to the point where we have a tremendous amount of customers now, and thank you for that. But it's long term, it allows us, or will allow us to do a better job with a few animals, will allow us to be more personal with the animals, allow you guys to also know the animals that's producing the milk that you may consume in your house, or the cows that produce the meat, or so on and so forth. But if you look around, if you stop and look around the countryside, there's very few young guys farming, and the reason for that is because there's a traditional way, there's not much money in it. It costs a tremendous amount of capital or overhead in order to get started. And if you didn't come from farming, and you didn't have where your parents had kind of a, land and equipment, everything built up, it requires, equipment costs a lot, land costs a lot, animals, everything just costs a ton. And then half the time when you're on a commodity-based, revenue stream, you don't make enough to even sometimes recuperate your costs most months. So the few of us that are farming, that are younger, had to think outside the box. So anyway, it's watching this, if you're not in the St. Lawrence County or Franklin County, look in your local area and see what farms are trying to do it differently, because the only way small farms can truly survive is by the help of customers that buy directly from them. Prices are typically going to be higher than what you can find in a grocery store, just because we can't compete. And anybody, and I encourage anybody to buy from any small farm. You just can't compete with $6.59 a pound ground beef that's got filler in it, or competing with the weekly specials because the meat's ready to expire within a day or two. Like, we're never going to compete with that. And also we're not going to compete with the products being altered either, where they do dyes or it's ground up and then mixed with additional fillers or whatever is done with the meat. So prices are typically going to be more expensive because the product is closest to what it's supposed to be as well. And a lot of guys, there's a lot of beef farmers in our area that have, herds, 30, 40, 50 animals. And, they're going to have to charge more per pound because it costs a lot for, the equipment to put up the hay, the fuel now to put it up, the processing fees keep going up. So we can't, in order for small farms to continue, we can't compete with this corporate model of pricing. You can't have big, a local farm with corporate pricings. You have to have, it doesn't work. The local farm's food is going to just cost more. And that's still one of the biggest objections that we come into all the time, is because we've been so, we want the cheapest price for everything, unfortunately. But we also want to know and have the best product possible and locally sourced, especially when it comes to food. But unfortunately, we just can't have both. If a farmer's charging $5 or $6 a pound for ground beef today, and you're buying it from them, I can guarantee you that farmer's losing money, because there's no way by the time he covers the cut and wrap costs and his cost of raising that animal, he's gonna make money. So anybody that says that they can do that, I would argue, I would encourage you to want to go and, pay more for the food, because you're going to encourage that local agriculture, local farm businesses to continue to go. Because then ultimately those dollars stay locally, because any small farm, I have, all of our neighbors and stuff, when something breaks down, hoses, everything requires the support of our local community, and that's going away too. It's, it's getting to be very difficult to source parts, to get things fixed quickly. It's hard because there's less and less farms that can support those type of businesses. So by supporting small farms and local farms, it also hopefully encourages to promote other people that would be the support element of local farms and local businesses, construction business, anybody that's doing things with machinery and so on and so forth. Because when farms go away, a lot of other infrastructure goes away too. And that's happening. It's a silent problem across this entire country right now. And at least in our area, I'm setting out the mission in order to keep a small farm truly alive, but also be connected to a lot of houses, a lot of customers. Because unfortunately, the word small farm is also kind of gone too, because I can have a small number of animals, crop a small amount of land, but in order for me to have a market, I have to have a tremendous amount of you guys or other customers to help us build it. So unfortunately, in today's day and age, there's nothing really small about farming anymore. It's just which avenue that person chooses to go and what's the most sustainable for long term and what can be continued on to another generation and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, which is very sad, a lot of farms right now, people are, they're getting older, there's nobody taking them over. And these, especially in our county, this part of the world, there's a lot of dairy farms. There used to be a lot of dairy farms in St. Lawrence County, and they're going away. A lot of the 1,000 to 3,000 cow dairies are starting to go away too. And there's going to be the next 5-10 years, it's just going to look even different. And there's only one other farm in our area, who's younger, was about my age, that's continuing, and that's it that I know of. So in like the Messina, Brazier, Helena, going out to Madrid, there's almost none of us left. And most people don't know that. We see the food in the grocery stores, but it's sad when the food in the grocery stores got to come from trucks from thousands of miles away to get there, rather than going. And there's a lot of guys that I know that they sell beef, quarters, halves, or wholes, or eggs, or so on and so forth. And a lot of people don't go to them because they may not know they're there, or they think they're too expensive, or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of food that can be sourced locally that's not within a grocery store. So through our platform, anybody that sells a product or produces a product in St. Lawrence or Franklin County, I would love to help sell that for you guys, so please reach out to me. You can go to my website, contact information is there, ortmanfarms.com. But this is my mission I choose to do. So after I got out of the service and worked as a paramedic, I want to just continue to help people, and at least the avenue through that I can do it is through farming, and I can help provide food that's sourced locally and create relationships, because our intention, food and farms, there's nothing, there's nothing quick about them, and it's a marathon, and relationships last for a long time. So I want to serve people that believe in what we're doing, and not just my farm, but other farms too, and get to know us, and then hopefully we will never be able to replace obviously grocery stores, but there's a small number of products that you can get locally from your houses within, 20, 30, 40 miles. And I hope that we can get more and more people to do that, to be a part of it. Our prices include delivery. We're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but we are putting things on a truck and we are delivering it. So we will have to charge just a little bit more. But at the end of the day, if we're willing to pay subscriptions for, different things like Netflix and Disney Plus, and or go to a coffee store a few times a day, because I do that all the time, and spend, $6, $7, $8 on coffee that you suck down in 2 seconds. Sometimes supporting an extra 50 cents, $1 a pound on food that sustains us, it may be worth it. But anyways, check out my platform, store.ortmanfarms.com. There's a guest section there. to see some of the products. We did link up with another producer. He actually does local roasted coffee. So those are on our site too. He's got 13 different styles of coffee beans he roasts. There is a couple producers that do maple syrup, raw honey. Our local processor, Tri-Town Packing, does a bunch of sticks and jerky, so we've been selling those too. And then our beef and the pork. And there is a woman towards Franklin County that does goat milk products. So you can check all that stuff out in the store. We do run a membership program, covers basically our delivery fees. We get 2 products included in the membership fee every month. So this way we're always providing value to you guys, because I don't like when you do subscriptions and it's like you get your card billed and you don't ever use it. So regardless, if you don't need to order anything else, we will be delivering you 2 products that you choose, like 2 pounds of ground beef or sausage and ground beef, whatever it would be, every month regardless. That's a lifetime value offer that we're doing. And then there's a bunch of other members features that are there. We do accept EBT, hopefully that helps anybody out. And so yeah, we're going to continue to build the platform. I'm hoping ambitiously by the end of 26, first part of 27, we'll be able to go live with our micro creamery. There's a lot of work to do with that. We have to work with New York State, get permitted, and then we have to build a facility because we cannot sell raw milk. New York State will give you a permit for raw milk, but the problem is no insurance company will write a pharma policy to sell it. And that's what stops anybody. So if anybody is looking for raw milk, there is one farm, I think they're called Butterfields maybe. They're out towards Malone, maybe Bangor, I think. You have to go to the farm and pick it up. That's the only place I know. But so we hope to be bringing the old milkman back to St. Lawrence and Franklin County. It'll be 2027. 2026 is probably going to be too quick because it takes a lot of time. And so this is a journey that I've set upon. It's been in the works, in the making now for 7 years actually, because before we can commit to a micro creamery and bringing the old milkman back, we had to have the customers in place that would be able to consume the milk, the fluid milk, because unlike meats or honey or anything else, milk needs to be consumed relatively quickly. And cows, even if I'm only milking 15 cows, they produce a lot of milk, which requires a lot of customers to handle that regularly. So that's what we've been working on first, is having the fantastic customer base. So if anybody's a member that's watching me or listening to this right now, so thank you so much for all of your support and being with us. And anybody that is interested, head to our website. You can learn about the program that we have set up, and hopefully we can be a part of it. So thanks guys, and have a good night.